I do want to begin before I start talking about the 5 elements. I do want to begin by having us arrive. So find your sits bones, find your feet, find the floor. Turn your attention into your inner landscape. And with your next inhale, gather up everything you use to arrive here and now. Inhale and gather. Exhale that out your feet back to the earth. You were successful. You don't need them anymore. Let's do that again. Inhale and gather. Exhale back to the earth. With your next inhale, gather up all of your plans and anticipations, anything that will tug your attention away from the present. Inhale and gather. Exhale them off to the side. They'll still be there when we're done. Inhale and gather. Exhale off to the side. I'm not sure what everyone who will view the video, what their background will be. So apologies to Abby and Abe, also perhaps Eduska for basics, but context is important. Centuries ago, Taoists who wrote, because they're the only ones we know about really, or know their thoughts, noted that time is not really linear, that the human mind or consciousness perceives it that way, but it's much more spacious, fluid, omnidirectional even. And that space is not traversed in feet or miles or kilometers, that it is much more foldable, malleable. So let's open our class by calling in our circle, using both of those ideas to open our mind a little bit. So visualize yourself sitting in a circle, spacious, but not so big that you lose contact with it. And don't pay attention to the walls of your house or your apartment. Make it as lovely as you like. Turn your attention to the left side of your circle and invite to join you your ancestors. So all of these are going to be the broadest definitions that we can muster. Older brothers and sisters, cousins, even friends. But we are reaching to the past a bit, so older in one way or another. But then also the obvious, your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great, and also aunts and uncles, cousins, back in time. The teacher who shared this with me says, all the way back to the monkeys and the trees. So our human history, our evolutionary history, everyone is invited to support us and benefit from our practice. Take a breath, give them a moment to arrive, trusting that they will continue to arrive without your strict focus. And turn your attention to the right side of your circle and invite your descendants. So these can, of course, be children. They can also be younger friends and siblings, nieces and nephews, people that you have mentored or taught in some way. Again, the broadest definition. And then their children, their children's children, children's children's children, on into the future, as far as we can imagine. And invite behind you your teachers, grade school, high school, college, neighbors who taught you things like how to tie your shoes and how to ride a bike, how to build a rocket ship. But also writers who wrote books that inspired you, who wrote plays that entranced you, artists who made images, the actors, singers, songwriters as well. All of those people who taught us somehow and enriched our lives. And lastly, right in front of us is what the teacher called our karmic team. Those are the people in our lives who may be passing through it or permanent fixtures, but they offer us a moment to decide to be our best self, our highest self. And that can mean that they are loyal supporters. It can also mean that they are people who obstruct us, even insult, that they give us, consciously or not, a moment of choice. Good. So come back to the room. Trust that that supportive and benefiting circle will stay with us. Depending on how well I use our time together, I may or may not include a releasing of the circle. So please do that if I guide us all the way to 8:30. I don't release my circle. These people are with me all the time. My guides are with me all the time. So that is your choice. For some people, it's a strong calling that you don't keep them. And all you do is say, thank you so much for coming. I release you, using whatever other language you'd like. So we're going to taste the practices that we're going to do over the next 10 weeks to take advantage of the energies of spring, to also kind of mitigate those energies also. So we want to have our middle path, our balanced path. Spring, I'll talk a little bit about that elemental energy, but can be a lot. And as some of you are very familiar, we'll begin with movement, standing, visualizing, breathing for the first part of the class. In the second part, we'll sit down and do more internal things. I did I was thinking about this series because I have a framework that I return to, but then I also tweak it, switch out certain practices, add others, and I'm going to add a Qigong I haven't taught before. But with the series, and I'm not going to talk that much about it, but I want to acknowledge the pressures of the time that we're living in, the chaos and the stress. So the core is 5 elements, and a lot of those practices naturally help us protect, digest, and root and ground. But I will fold in some directly self-healing practices, one of which Abby and Abe may have done before, but it's a self Chine Tsang, which just aligns so beautifully with the 6 healing sounds. And some other kind of protective meditation. So in Qigong, protection isn't like, they do have talisman and kind of have this witchy take on protection, but a lot of it is about our energy field and strengthening it and bringing in other forces and energies to help us have a strong boundary that acts like a cushion, acts like a spacesuit, depending on where you are and what you need. Don't know if we're going to have time to do this Wuzong protective meditation tonight. I hope so, but it would be a lovely way to close the class if I can squeeze it in. So just to provide a very basic context, the Qigong that I practice and I teach is rooted in Taoism. There's some Buddhist Qigong, there's martial Qigong. What I do, you're going to hear me referring to Taoist this and Taoist that a lot. And the 5 elements are crucial to Taoist worldview, health view, emotional health view. And I think the most practical way to think about it is a lens through which to view those things. I'm going to show you some pictures. So where the 5 elements show up, so that's the 5 at the top: metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. You'll notice it's different than the Tibetan set of 5. It's different from the Greco-Roman set of 4. We use the word elements, but it might be more helpful to call them the 5 phases, because they are always changing from one to the other. I'm not seeing the seasons listed here. Here we go. So making that clear is we are moving into spring, and the elemental energy that is most active, we could even say dominant in the spring, is wood energy. In the summer, it's fire. In the transitions between seasons, earth element energy arises to offer some stability. And then autumn is metal, winter is water. So we're moving through the year, and each time of year is manifesting and demanding of us a response in this elemental energy. But most of the Qigong that deals with, most, not all, of the Qigong that works with the elements will offer all 5. And this is important because another one of my teachers says when we diagnose ourselves as needing wood, as needing fire, usually we're wrong. A perfect Western example of that is we may know somebody who's prickly, who's quick to anger, or basically mostly angry. But then if we think about it or get to know them, often the anger is masking fear. So if I were to diagnose myself, I'm very angry, I need to digest and move my wood element out, all that would do is imbalance me further. Fear is connected with water and the kidneys. So we do all 5 elements and trust the practice. So you don't have to trust me. You trust practices that are centuries, sometimes millennia old. And you can trust my personal experience, which has been, I've benefited greatly from that. The other thing about the 5 elements is you can really get sunk into the study of them. You saw that at table. Those are just some of the attributes, they're called. Don't bother. Use it, learn it with your body and with your practice. It's more enjoyable and I think richer. Okay, so that's just super brief sketch. And another thing is, if you have questions about anything I've said or any movement, unmute yourself and ask me in the moment. I'd rather be interrupted than have you forget while you're holding it to the end or, yeah. Okay, so I guess one final point is whether you're doing Qigong with me or anyone, look for 3 aspects. So there's usually some warming up, we call it loosening, warming the joints, but then we need to purge. The idea of health in Qigong is almost anything's okay because life can get rough, can get imbalancing, but it must move. And we purge to get rid of old energy, energy that was at one time useful, but now is an obstruction or a pollution or kind of sludgy. And after we do a purging practice, depending on the practice, not worrying about, oh, I think I have stagnation in my collarbone. You're diagnosing yourself. Depend on the practice. After a purging, which can be very strong or very gentle, we'll try a couple different of those. Then we bring in fresh life force, fresh chi. Every time you inhale, you're doing that. It's not exotic or mystical. However, when we do Qigong, we're focused on bringing that in and kind of being more efficient about it. Bring in better, more, etc. And then after that, bringing in, we need to kind of digest it or refine it, align it with our energy system. Silly, but helpful example would be, oh, I really need to eat more carrots, or my muscles would be better with more vitamin A. So am I going to pound a carrot on my body? No. I'm going to put it in my stomach and intestines, and everybody's going to digest it, and then it will get into my body in a usable form. All of these 3, I should say, these 3 can show up in many different ways. There is no best Qigong, just like there's no best way to walk, no best way to stand. I am a Western teacher, contemporary Western teacher, in that I've learned from many teachers. I am a senior instructor in Mantak Chia's stuff, but I'm nobody's disciple. I love variety and comparing and contrasting. And so you're going to get a little taste of that too. Let's stand up and do some stuff. So we always, just as we open class by arriving, we want to arrive in this new posture. So stand well. In Qigong, that's particular. It means your feet are under your hips or your shoulders, depending on your build, and they're parallel. Your knees are unlocked, which unlock your ankles and your hips. And you want to sink your pelvis. What does that mean? I don't want to curl my hips under, but I want my tailbone to point to the earth. Abdomen is gently engaged. Chin, well, head is kind of rolled forward so my crown can point to heaven, heaven and earth. Arms are relaxed, even heavy. This is my, it's called neutral standing posture, except my heart's a bit forward. So inhale into your heart and exhale. Settle your heart into the center of your body. And do that again. Good. So let's just move, shake intuitively, but gently. So this can be used if we do it with a little more intention as a way to purge, but I just want you to warm your joints up and move them a little bit before we go into other types of purging. Good. And slowly make your shaking smaller and smaller till you come to your center. So the first purging we're going to do two with the same name, very different. Tunu Gashin. So it means out with the old, in with the new, or expel illness, take in health. The translations are varied. The first one's quite physical. So when things are big, sensory experiences, they tend to focus mostly on the physical body, which is excellent. The more subtle often leads us into the chi body, and most subtle into the spirit body. So for this one, we want to inhale in three parts if we can. Inhale into the belly, inhale into the solar plexus, and then inhale into the ribs or the chest. So go ahead and try that. It's counterintuitive. And exhale, reverse. So ribs, solar plexus, belly. Try that again. And exhale. So as we inhale, we want to tap. So this is impacting with the tips of our fingers. And a little, it's for vibration, not the actual impact, but we want it to be strong enough to feel the vibration. So it's not real delicate. So as I inhale, then I hold my breath so I can tap a bit longer. And then I'm going to switch to patting. And as I do, I'm going to exhale with pursed lips. Pause and observe. I'm going to repeat a couple more times. Inhale. Holding and then patting. One more time. Into your lungs. Inhale. A longer pause, a longer observation. So another way to purge the old so we can take in the new. The one we just did is from Wudang Qigong. This is from the one we're going to do next is from Mount Amier. I'm mispronouncing the Chinese, forgive me, and this one is more about visualization and breath, and we're moving. You can always feel the breath in your physical body, but the breath is a bridge between the physical and other layers of ourselves. We'll begin with the wood element, the color, which is a vibration, the color that evokes, feeds, connects us to wood element is green. And for this, we have a mudra, so thumb over ring finger. Actually, let's hold that mudra at our dantian because I want you to clear breath, but fill your whole body with clear light. And then exhale it, just to kind of introduce the process. Good. So the wood element version is I'm inhaling green. I hold my hands over my face. I hold my breath and I just soak in that green color. And when you're doing this on your own, the instruction is to hold your breath as long as you can and a little bit longer. The sound of the liver and the wood is SH. So as I exhale, and flick. You're throwing away that old stale wood element energy. So without me talking, inhale, green, fill yourself. Times. Yeah, we'll do 4. One more. Stay and observe. I keep saying that and I'll say it over and over again. It keeps us from rushing forward. And if we can be quiet minded and observe, Qigong is not, it's often very gentle. We need to slow our fast brain down. The next element is fire, the heart. The color is red. The mudra is thumb over middle finger, but the process is the same. Inhale red, filling your body, soaking in that red. And the sound of the heart and the fire is Ha, H-A-W. Inhale red. Last time, or fire. Pause and observe. And the next is earth. The color is yellow. And the mudra is just reversing the finger. So middle finger is over the thumb. Inhale, filling yourself with this yellow light, yellow color. Hold. And the sound is the tiger growl, the glottal exhale. Last one for earth. Into autumn metal, the lungs, the color is white. Thumb over index finger. Fill yourself with white light, white color. And the sound is the S sound. Last one. Observing. The last element is water, the kidneys in winter. So you'll see me do this because I broke that finger a while back. This is the mudra. Inhale, filling yourself with indigo blue. And the sound is cho. That's one. Observe. So do two different feelings of purging. Don't worry if you don't feel empty. It's we're not so concerned with the conscious calibration of full and empty. It's an energetic body thing that we're going for. We're going to move into the 5-yin organ qigong, which combines purging and gathering. So it's kind of a bridge from purging into gathering. And for, okay, fine. The qigong we just did, the one we're going to do now, and many types of qigong, you can modify the length of time you spend doing it by the number of repetitions. So we did 4 repetitions of the Tu Gu No Shin. You can do 9 or 12 if your blood gas levels are strong. You can also do 3. Fewer than 3 usually is not enough for repetitious qigong, but we will on the 5-yin organ qigong, probably between 3 and 5. I usually check my own body and navigate it that way. Probably do 3 so we can do all of the chapters. So let's begin. I often begin with the seasons element, but I do want to do 5-yin organ from the lungs, which is the classical beginning point. And make sure that your knees are unlocked. Excuse me. The color for the lungs is white, but now instead of filling the whole body, we're just filling the area of our lungs. And as we exhale, we're exhaling grayness. And so that imagery is the invitation for the body to purge however deeply or gently that it needs and wants to. So we extend our arms forward, palms up. And as we inhale, we open our arms, which opens our chest, filled with white light. Exhale that S sound. Exhale gray. And one more. Just smile into your lungs. So there are subtleties and details to the movement that aren't so visible, but I just want you to rough draft it this evening. The next organ are the kidneys. So the posture to begin, we connect with the kidney opposite this hand with the back of this hand. So in the back, it looks like this. This is my same side kidney, opposite side kidney. Reminding that it's water. So we inhale, go down and scoop up indigo blue water. And as we exhale, cho. And switching sides, just intuitively moving smoothly. Staying with the kidneys and smiling into them. And next is our wood element liver. For this, we want to sink a little deeper because we don't want our hips to move. We park our hands at our hips to begin. And the SH sound. So we'll begin with right hand out, which is the liver side. I inhale, drawing that green into my liver. I exhale with the SH, exhaling gray. Shh. Green in, gray out. Shh. One more. Bring your hand back. Stay with your liver, smiling into it. And then to the heart. So our hands begin as if we're holding a ball. You can even color the ball red as the color of the heart and the fire element. We inhale red into our heart. And as we exhale gray, ha sound, we push that stuff the heart doesn't want out. We pull in red, push out. Last time on each side. And back to center. Smile into your heart. And then down to the spleen, the yellow, the earth element. For this, we also need to stabilize our hips. Also going to thumb and index. And then it's about the hairline. Bring our hands up and higher. This stabilizes our shoulders, so the twist is all at the waist. Squeezing and expanding the spleen and stomach. So we inhale yellow into both, or just the spleen, however you like. And that tiger growl as we twist. Back to center. Back to center with your spleen, smiling. And the last movement of this Qigong introduces the idea of when we do Qigong, we can release repressed or stray Qi, emotional, energetic, and we want to bring it into the belly, into the dantian. So yin and yang here, super soft inhale. When I get about here, super yang, everything is pulling into the dantian. Do this usually 3 times. And just brushing, kicking. So the last thing we'll sample, and then I want to show you one of the celestial animal Qigong, the dragon. But we're going to sample first the first 3 movements of 8 brocades. So this 5-yin organ is from medical Qigong. It's probably 20th century. But the 8 brocades is usually dated between the 9th and the 12th century. It's probably the most widely practiced Qigong, and perhaps the oldest one still in practice. So we begin standing well, naturally. Ground yourself in this spot, in this moment, before you begin anything. Inhale. About the upper chest, lace and reverse. So you want to be reach as high and be as straight as you can, locking no joints at all. So this is me. That's just cutting off chi, cutting off my airway also. So relax, shoulders down, relax, 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 but reach for the sky. And then exhale. Inhale. So we don't know the breathing patterns. This is the breathing pattern I was taught. So we hold our breath here, and then we exhale gently. So you don't want to hold your breath so long that you have to pop. No, keep it controlled, graceful, fluid, connecting earth and heaven. So up and down, yeah? So the next one, come up to here and separate our hands, one to earth, one to heaven. But then we go side to side. So horizon to horizon, heaven and earth. Inhale to our heart. Exhale, expand. I think that might be my favorite one. And when we're ready to complete that chapter, hands out to the side and then back to the dantian. The third is the bow. And for this, we need a wider stance. We need to be wide, but you need to be upright. So if you're bending forward to get really nice and big and low, you're too low. You're also going to be here for a minute. So be as low as you can hold it for a while. So let's see. Several versions of this. Let's bring up. And this is the mudra. Hold empty. And so let's do a fire and water version. Down to the earth, drawing up water from the earth to the heart. Open. Exhaling and holding empty, but also holding that water. Inhale. Turn to the earth. We'll do one more each side with the water. Inhale. Now down to the earth, pulling up fire. Mudra is the fist. Be fiery. Inhale. This is a little different. Exhale, like a flame. More fire. Inhale. Again. Inhale. So flame, but as we do, our toes come in and our heels, we return to a more natural foot position. So one of the most interesting ways to draw in chi, especially elemental chi, is to become the thing that manifests. like mountains are an expression of metal element energy. There are standing stillness postures where you become mountain, not a mountain, but mountain. The 5 celestial animal Qigong does that, but each of these celestial animals actually corresponds to a constellation in the Chinese constellation sky, and each one of them is situated in a direction, so north, south, east, and west, associated with the element. So the wood element, the celestial animal, is the dragon, green dragon specifically, and it is, let's see, east. It's in the east of the sky. And we're just going to do the wood element dragon tonight. There are, all 5 of them are wonderful. And each animal has sort of 2 movements that you do one after the other. The first movement is pretty much an adaptation of cloud hands, if you know that from Tai Chi or another Qigong. But dragons live, Chinese and Japanese dragons live in the clouds. So it's a very simple movement. The main things to keep in mind when you're trying it for the first time is your hands never stop moving. So you wouldn't do this. It's like clouds don't park part of themselves while another part of themselves moves. Just spend some time playing with, enjoying, being of in the clouds. So the dragon, we're not dragons yet. We're just clouds, cloudness. So my natural speed is a little bit faster. Maybe why I enjoy living in New York, I'm not sure. So then I slow myself down. So Chinese, Japanese dragons are not like European ones. They're not evil. They're not bent on destruction, but they are mischievous, kind of have a twinkle in their eye. And they may cause trouble, but it's not the trouble they're after so much as the play. So the movement begins with holding the pearl. And you'll see in Chinese and Japanese both paintings, they'll have a pearl in their claw. Very close association. So we begin holding this pearl. And then we expand. So it is like this. And then back to holding the pearl. And then this. The movement will make more sense if you focus on moving and stretching from your elbows, not your hands. And like a lot of Qigong, it sneaks some organ, physical body benefit in there. And as we do this, we are stretching and expanding and squeezing our liver. Did I do that right? No, it's this way. Holding the pearl, the front arm is front, back arm back. And then we can put them together So cloud hands into dragon stretch. And make sure your back heel is down, which creates a stretch kind of in a third direction. What am I doing? Not the pearl, cloud hands. I come back to holding the pearl. Since we would be moving through other animals, we'll create an ending to our dragon practice. So compress your pearl, that precious pearl, small enough so we can swallow it all the way down to our dantian. Good. Let's bring down heaven to connect with the yang light of the sun, the yin light of the moon, and the ancient light of the stars. And then let's return to our seat.
Miranda,
Yes.
when you're doing the dragon stretching, are you kind of in like a lunge stance?
Maybe a
Or,
high lunge, yeah. Because
but
the front,
the back foot should be on the ground.
yeah,
Okay.
because the front knee is bent, but I like to straighten my back knee because you have this stretch, but then you're adding an angle stretch to it also.
Thank you.
Mhm. Yes, I'm looking forward to teaching this one. I haven't taught it before. It's I'm being a little shy now, but when you do the dragon, you should be having fun like dragons do. And then, yeah, turtle and snake and phoenix. So our seated practice is going to be.
Sarah Miranda, can I ask a
Yeah.
question?
Mhm.
In like the very first, which I don't recall the name, but the very first phase, where there was mudras, and I was able to see some of them, but I just wanted to understand a little bit better. So with the mudra, you and the color of the energy, you bring it up to your face. And when you say that there's a sound, you're supposed to release with that sound. Is that how
Yes.
that's supposed to be practiced? Okay. And when you release, is there anything happening in the hands that you're doing,
So
or you keep the mudra
you keep
when
the
you're releasing?
mudra, and then when your arms are straight out, you can't go out any further than you flick.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So the purging, you're taking in the color and soaking it. So there's a nourishing going on there. The whole idea of our energetic self-care, let's call it, is that where the mind goes, chi follows. So you can simply think about your palms and, unless you're very, very skeptical, your palms will get warm and you will have brought energy there. But we would like to expand that. So these colors are pretty consistent from lineage to lineage over hundreds of years. And I guess the shortcut way to describe it is the color green reverberates or vibrates or resonates with our liver and the wood elemental energies of our body. The color white will nourish our lungs and it reverberates there. I take that as I was taught. I don't have a long enough life to experiment with it, but I, have benefited so much from the practices as a whole, I trust. So what we're doing, even though the main point of that, it's Tu Gu Na Shin, is purging, first we nourish, we connect with the color. If we were just going to, I want to purge, I'm going to purge my liver, exhale gray, it's kind of rude, right? And it's almost like we dig in and then purge rather than just kind of trying to purge. That's why we use the colors in that case. We're going to use them in a minute also. So the purge is the exhale, which can be green or gray. The sound and the movement is all about, and the intention we've built with all of those things. Yeah.
Thank you
And
so much.
sure. Another thing to say about purging is you don't have to necessarily be doing Qigong and working with the elemental energies. If you are really upset or really sad and feel heavy, you can do movements and breathings and just kind of making it up. But this idea of purging it is super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not disrespecting whatever you're reacting to. You need everything to flow and be balanced eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Other questions?
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. So expanding and using color and sound and breath, maybe specifying it, is the idea of our emotional life. So in Taoism, there are no negative emotions. There are no bad feelings. There's no karmic ramifications to anything you feel. I like to visualize it as there's a space in between my internal emotional experience and how I choose to express it. In that space, maybe the space is small and I'm acting out like toddlers do. Maybe I've made a space and I can bring presence and awareness and say, yeah, super angry, really pissed off. Do I want to yell and scream? Do I want to speak rationally but sharply? Or do I want to just say nothing and get the hell out? I have those choices. That's the first step to working with your emotions with Qigong, is softening your self-judgment about them, especially anger, also the others. But so there is a burdensome emotion. Avoid the use negative or bad. But along with that is a wisdom. So our liver, the burdensome emotion is anger. Sometimes we call it frustration, but the kind of core anger. The wisdom is kindness. I've just run through them. You don't have to remember. The heart is similar to the Western idea of being a place of emotion. We have a couple. So the burdens are impatience, cruelty, even arrogance. The wisdom is love. The spleen is worry, can even accelerate into obsession. The wisdom is sort of wholeness and openness. And the lungs, metal, sadness and grief, courage. And the kidneys, fear or gentleness. So these seem to be mismatched, but that mismatching makes it so much richer. And after you spend time with the pairs, I came to see that they're really not out of relation. Like when you're grieving, do you really need to be happy to go forward? No, you need courage to get to the next moment, the next day. Worry is different than fear. I think of it as like this circular, going nowhere emotional thing. And if we are open and feel whole, we get out of that. Yeah, so let's just practice it. It is a seated practice, and even though we move, it's not, it doesn't get your blood pumping, let's put it that way. And I think you should just follow me. I can put up the table again, but in a way that's a little distracting because you're reading rather than feeling. This is another practice that can be short or long. To do all 6 sounds. The 6th sound is a full body sound, 5 elements and this full body triple warmer sound. Hard to do in less than 20 minutes. Can be an hour though. So we find our center, which we kind of always do before meditating. And then we connect with the organ, smiling into it, begin breathing the color, and we'll make each sound 3 times. The first time, I just want you to get used to inhaling a color into an organ, which is kind of odd. And I will tell you things about that elemental energy. I just want them to float through your mind. I don't want you to try and remember them. Second time, you'll keep breathing that color. I'll keep reminding you. Then we open ourselves to the burdensome emotion. We're held by the structure of the practice. We are afraid of a lot of these strong emotions, but the fear often is that we will get stuck there. And this practice holds us and allows us to move on after spending time with them. Third time, we keep breathing the color, but we spend time with the wisdom. I'm going to go ahead and start with the lungs. The lungs are a great starting point because they're all breath practices, and we know we breathe with our lungs. And the first 3 ends with the wood and the liver, and I'll see if we have more time after that, but we'll at least do those first 3. So just as we stood well, we want to sit well. So feel your sits bones on the chair, your feet on the floor. Close your eyes and go into your body. Just breathe into your belly. Connect to the earth and center in your belly. Coalesce your attention in your lungs. Inhale white light filling, bathing your lungs. Exhale grayness or cloudiness. Inhale white light. Exhale gray. So the element governing your lungs is metal. Time of year is autumn. Time of day is dusk and early evening. Time of life is royalty sitting on your throne. You have accomplished and grown. You are wise and you are enjoying it. The elemental movement is contraction, the way metal ore gathers inside the earth. So let your eyes open. Inhale, draw your hands up your center line and reverse them. Elbows out to open the lungs. Sound is S. Return your hands to your lap. Return your attention to your lungs. Just continue that white inhale, that gray exhale. And open yourself to some of your sadness or grief. Trusting that you're held by the structure of the practice. Eyes flutter open. Same movement. Inhale up, reverse, and give voice to your sadness or grief. And return. Don't push your sadness away, but open yourself to sit with your courage. Inhaling white, exhaling gray, sit with your courage. Good. Eyes opening, inhale. Invite any of your sadness that's ready to transform into courage. And return. Stay with your lungs. Send gratitude to your lungs. Appreciation. Let your lungs digest that unusual attention. Let's coalesce our focus in and around our kidneys. Smile into your kidneys. Inhale a rich, deep indigo blue into them. Exhale grayness or cloudiness. Stay with that breath. The element governing the kidneys is water. The time of day is night. The season is winter. The energetic movement is sinking, the way water finds the bottom of any vessel holding it. Time of life is old age. Let your eyes open. So the movement for each organ gives space, physical space to that organ. So for the kidneys, we grasp our knees, push our lumbar out as we keep our head up, and the cho sound. Cho. Beautiful. Continue that indigo in and gray out, bathing your kidneys. As you do, open yourself to sit with some of your fear. Just some of it. Eyes flutter open, grasp your knees, and give voice to some of your fear. Return. Don't run away from your fear. But become aware and sit with your gentleness. Sit with your gentleness as you bathe your kidneys in indigo blue. Eyes flutter open. Grasp your knees, open your lumbar. And with the sound, invite any of your fear that's ready to transform into gentleness. And return. Let your kidneys rest. Let's move to our third and for tonight final organ, the liver. Smile into your liver. Inhale some beautiful, vibrant green into your liver. Exhale grayness, the cloudiness. The element of the liver is wood. The time of year is spring. Time of day is morning. And the time of life is youth. The energetic movement of wood element is expansion. Eyes flutter open. We circle our arms up, lace our fingers in reverse, and then stretch your liver. Sound is SH. Shh. Recenter before returning. Continue that lovely green in, grayness out. And as you do, open yourself to some of your anger, the burdensome emotion of wood and our livers. Sit with your anger. Let your eyes flutter open, circling our arms. Reverse, stretch the liver. Give voice to some of your anger. Shh. Recenter and return. Don't reject your anger, but let's sit with our kindness. Inhale green and honor your kindness. Inhale. Invite any of your anger that's ready to transform into kindness. Shh. And return. Send appreciation and gratitude to your liver. To close this practice, which can release emotions we were not paying attention to, do the triple warmer sound. So connecting downward to the earth, we inhale, sort of fill your whole body with soil or earth, something stable and strong. As we exhale, we'll make the he sound, but just visualize sending anything you don't need to the earth. We do this 3 times in quick succession. Last one. Rest and observe. So tonight we did not do the heart or the spleen, but it's a good introduction, I guess. Questions? So I will send you and all those probably annoyed people that didn't receive the link. A link once I post this on YouTube, and also a link to the website page to read more about the series, and a link to register if you're so inclined. And yeah, so 10 weeks takes us into, I think, the first week of June. I also, this might be more for Abe and Abby, but we will begin the series with the gentler version of the eight brocades, and near the end, we'll shift into the more strenuous martial version. I haven't decided exactly what I will teach in the summer, but I think it might be that as, excuse me, part of the Qigong. Because the summertime we have abundant energy, so we need to burn it off first of all, but also take advantage of and strengthen ourselves. Yes. So if no questions, I will wish you a very happy and peaceful evening, and hopefully see you next week.
Thank you, Miranda.
Miranda, take care.
Thanks, Miranda.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.